So Reba Crow says, I'm not trying to be ugly, but I thought y'all wanted to live tiny. Y'all must have gotten some money. Y'all are living good. So let's talk about that.
Here we go. Yeah.
Wow. Hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free.
We chose this comment, Reba, because it was one that was a good example of the kind of question that we will often get from people that we wanted to go ahead and just talk about a little bit today. And we weren't thinking you were trying to be ugly. You just were curious, wondering what was going on. And we want to make sure people do understand, why our situation is so different than it was even just a few years back.
Mm-hmm. And you said you thought that we wanted to live tiny. It's not so much that we wanted to live tiny. We didn't make that decision, but our business crashed, our construction business crashed in 2008 when the economy went bad. And we suddenly found ourselves out on the street, and we were, not quite. We were almost living in our car.
Yeah.
Not a camper van, our car.
Yeah.
And we ended up with that little tiny RV that I renovated. And so we lived tiny for 5 years, and it wasn't by our choice initially, but we found that we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't that we wanted to live tiny. We ended up living tiny and then found out that we did fine with it.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we lived there for 5 years, and we really thought we were going to continue there.
We had pretty much figured that was going to be our little forever home. Yeah.
But then, if you follow the story at all, my dad was getting older and living by himself, and he needed a place to live, and we didn't have any place.
We literally were living in 250 square feet.
Yeah, he couldn't live with us, so that started the whole thing of us now buying this house and moving to Virginia. And by then, our income had pretty much recovered, and so we were able to make that move. I got bugs on my back.
Ooh.
So then the question is, have we come into money? She's talking, I think, about this addition that we're building.
Yeah.
So have we come into money to be able to do that? Our income has recovered, but we're certainly not rolling into money by any stretch of the imagination.
No, that's not kind of how it's working, really.
Yeah. So how did we do this? How are we affording to do this? It's because we're debt free. It's because we maintain at all cost our debt freedom.
We went through quite a process to try to recover from when everything crashed, and pretty much decided at that point our little RV was paid for. Everything had been done in cash, and we actually for a long time didn't end up with bad credit. We just had no credit because we weren't using it at all.
Right.
And so when we realized that we really needed to take Pop in so he could stay with us. He was approaching 90, and so that he could be with us. And by the way, the timing was incredible because when the pandemic hit, he would have been pretty much stuck in his little apartment building. And that just I don't know if they would have even let us go see him. We used to go hang out there with him and be with him all the time in his little senior apartment. But I'm glad he was with us when everything kind of started happening. So that was good. So we were able to, our son found this little house for us. And it was a difficult decision to make because two things. One is we'd always been tiny house prepper, and now we knew we couldn't really legitimately call ourselves tiny house because this is about 900 square feet.
Yeah, it's small house, not tiny house.
Yeah, it's little house, but not tiny house. And the other was that it would require us to have to take on some debt. And we just really felt like it was so important, though, to take him in, make sure that he could be with us, that we thought, well, what we will do is we will approach this in such a way that we will move heaven and earth to get that thing paid for as fast as we possibly can.
So think about the average person with the average amount of debt. Have a mortgage, you have a car payment, you have a couple of credit cards.
normal stuff.
Depending
Yeah.
on what part of the country you live in, of course, it's going to be much more expensive on the coasts than it is in the center.
Right, in the cities and stuff.
But that could easily be $2,000 or $2,500 a month that you're spending on the mortgage and the credit cards.
And the vehicles.
If you live in a big city, you could be spending $4,000 a month just on your mortgage.
Oh goodness, I've known people that their house taxes were $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pick a number, $2,500 a month, that we would be spending if we lived like the average person in debt. If we had a mortgage payment, if we had a car payment, if
Or
we
two
had,
car
and
payments.
had a couple of credit cards.
Yes.
So when we moved into this house, we had already been saving money because we didn't have any debt. So that $2,500 that everybody else is spending on mortgage and on their debts, for us that is discretionary income because we have no debt. So we were saving all of that money. So we had some money in savings, and then we sold our little tiny house and we got some money from that, and that allowed us to put a fairly sizable amount down on this house that we're now living in, and we got a really good deal on the house anyway. So then by continuing to put $2,500 or more a month into the house, we paid it off very, very quickly.
Yeah, you can pay off a mortgage quickly when you put in bigger payments like that. I think that we paid it completely off after, I think it was a total of 16 months.
Yeah.
And it is completely paid for now.
And so that was what, January? February?
February.
Yeah.
Yeah, February.
So that was about 6 months ago. Yeah. So now we come to the addition. How can we afford to do the addition?
Because everything now is done cash.
Yeah.
That debt is wiped out, and everything else is cash.
Well, first of all, we're saving an awful lot of money because I'm doing it myself. Because I used to be a contractor, as you can see if you're following our episodes about building. That this is what I used to do for many decades, so I know what I'm doing.
And on the whole, it's like half materials and half.
Yeah, as a very rough estimate, when you contract with somebody to build something for you, it's about half materials and half labor. But it's going to cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000 or $7,000 for the material to do all of this, depending on how much we spend on what flooring if we upgrade flooring and those sorts of things. So let's say $7,000. Now, if we had contracted somebody to do it for us, it probably would have easily cost us $15,000 for this. It's only a 130 square foot little room.
Yeah, it's a 10 by 13.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're saving half or more by doing it myself. Now remember I said we had $2,500 of discretionary
That's
income.
just a figure, yeah.
Of discretionary income that other people don't have if they have a mortgage. Well, so that only took us 3 months of saving our discretionary income to be able to have the materials that we needed to build this house, this addition.
And of course, things come up in life. Cars need repaired, although I try to set money aside for car repairs all the time. Things happen, but we were able to set money aside and to be able to start doing this. And now it means that there has to be a commitment made that you aren't going to, we've had to make the commitment that we're not going to get something if we can't pay for it. Mm-hmm. This house was a big exception for a very important reason, and we did pay for it. But
and we made every effort to pay it off as quickly as we absolutely could.
What we try to avoid is getting something now and pledging future earnings for it, because you don't know what's going to happen in life. Mm-hmm. You're kind of betraying your future in a way, because you're going to be spending ages paying for something that you've already had previously. But anyway, but it means a real commitment to say, we could go and get a mortgage on a nice house.
Yeah.
Probably at this point we could upgrade vehicles. Although I love our vehicles, I think they're fine. We sold the truck. We were able to get the truck sold. And I called the truck Samson. I'm calling the big white van Maximus, from the White Horse in Tangled. I love it. Anyway, but we could do that, but we would rather, this is the important thing, we would rather continue to live below our means. In other words, we could spend more, but we choose not to.
Yeah.
So
the house that we're living in now is 900 square feet, and with the addition that I'm building, it's going to be about 1,030 square feet. So it's still quite a small house.
Right.
And one of the reasons that we remain debt free is because we choose not to spend things, not to buy things if we have to use credit for it.
Yeah.
So we could very easily now go out and buy a larger house and qualify for the mortgage.
Or a newer house, you know.
We could very easily go out and buy newer cars, but you know, we continue to drive 15-year-old vehicles.
And that's fine.
By choice, because we choose to stay out of debt. And so when we bought that van that I'm going to be turning into a camper van, we there was kind of a little bit of a juggling act there, because we actually bought it out of savings, and it was savings that it was supposed to go for building the addition. And then we sold the truck to reimburse the savings so that we could build the addition. So it's like
we sort of juggled the money around.
We have the plans to build the addition, but we can't until we sell the truck to reimburse us for the van that we just bought.
I knew we were going to have enough to keep the project going.
Yeah. So, you know, we didn't. My point is, we didn't spend a lot of money on the van because we just sold the truck to pay for it.
Yeah.
And still, the van is a 06, so it's 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we're not rolling in money, but we have a lot of discretionary money because we continue to be what's the word I'm looking for? Absolutely committed to living a debt-free lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so live simple, live free, what does that mean? It doesn't mean minimalist, like a lot of people say. It doesn't mean we have one cup and one, plate.
I like company and I like to cook.
Yeah. What it means, living simple, means you live below your means. You don't go out and buy things that you don't really need but that you want on credit. And by doing that, it then gives you the freedom to do things like build an addition, build a camper van, take an extended trip in the camper van, that sort of thing.
And even with this addition, the reason that we're doing it, I like having the more breathing room, of course. It's very nice. But the reason we're doing it is because when we look at life on a practical day-to-day level, and the fact that I really want to be doing more canning, and I've got this garden really going and everything, quite honestly, we're making it work, but we have, and this isn't because of the china cabinets in my little dining area. This is the room from there over. We have this washing machine and dryer stack there. We have the refrigerator there. And so the table is just barely room to be able to sit down around it at all. And
she's a party animal.
And I love having people over.
She loves to have friends and family and church people and whatever over for dinner and parties and.
Well, I love having, having a bunch of kids around, and I enjoy it a lot. And there's been two things with moving into this house that I have been thrilled to death with, although I would have lived in our little tiny house for the rest of my life. I would have. But two things. One is to be able to have a table. I can sew on it. I can feed people at it. There's just things about having a table I can use all the time.
Yeah, in the little tiny house that we lived in, we had to use those folding TV trays for our dinners because we didn't have any table or any room for a table at all.
When the weather was really pleasant, we could maybe put a table out in the little sunroom, but it had to be when it wasn't too hot or too cold, And the other thing is I am enjoying having some places to hang things on the walls, because it just didn't work out that way in the tiny house. And that's not the end of the world, but I enjoy it, But this room is going to enable us now to finally have a little bit of breathing room in the little dining area. Now my washer and dryer will be out in the new little room. My refrigerator is going to be moved over into the kitchen area. Right now we can't do that because it would cover the door. So it'll be in the kitchen area. It'll be right in front of where our door used to be. And now the table isn't going to be really roomy, but you can pleasantly sit people around it. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be really good. And I'm going to be able to have shelves for canning materials and just for a lot of odds and ends of stuff that I'm going to appreciate, having the room for. Yep. So yes, I feel very elegantly blessed and rich to be able to build that room. But we have to be very committed to being very careful with money, so we've got the money to do it. So
bottom line is, how are we doing this? We didn't come into money. We're able to do it because we have been committed for a long time to living completely debt-free.
Yeah.
So, and if you're in debt and you're trying to get out of debt, I know that it can be...
Oh, it can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely overwhelming, and there's no end in sight. About 6-8 months ago, I did a seminar here on the channel, about how to get out of debt, including your mortgage, in 7 years or less. And a lot of people have commented since then that they're following the system that I showed, and that they're really having success. And every time I hear somebody who says, I just paid off my car 2 years early, it makes me so happy to hear that.
Yes.
But if you're wondering how that works, how to get out of debt when it seems so overwhelming, I'll put I have that seminar, Financial Debt Freedom Seminar, in a playlist. I'll put a link to the playlist up here and in the description down below. So if you really want to learn how to get out of debt, go and watch those. It's not just some little thing you're going to sit down and watch. It is a workshop that is 4 episodes of like 45 minutes each or something.
Yeah.
And by the time you're finished with it, you'll know exactly when you'll be out of debt and how to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And we want you guys to know it really can be done.
Yeah, it really can.
The most important thing is you've got to realize how much it could set you free, and you've got to be committed to it. Because yes, there's times when it's sacrifice. But I tell you what, when I do know I've got some money that I'm allowed to spend on something, I sure enjoy spending it more, because I know I'm not robbing something that I really need money for, like a bill or something like that. I know it's okay to use it. And just, you know, once you're in a position where you're living on less money than you have to have every month, you know, you're making more money than you have to spend. That's what I'm trying to say. Living beneath your means. That sounds terrible. Anyway, then you can get set up.
Spending less than you're making.
Thank you. Yes. Then you can set yourself up to set money aside for things that are going to come up, so that you know, I mean, I literally, I've said this before, I set money aside for a full-blown whopper car payment every month. So that when the time comes that we would have to replace a vehicle, or we have some kind of repair that comes up, I know the money is set aside for it, you know. And talk about living feeling free. I don't have to worry about that.
That way, if big car repairs come up, we have the money for it, and if they don't, then we're putting money towards the next car that we will buy cash.
Yeah.
So that's the live simple is live below your means, and then you are living free from the bondage to debt, free from the stress of how am I going to pay for this, free from the stress of if I lose my job, what am I going to do? If we lost our income completely because we had no debt, I could go get a job flipping burgers someplace, and it would be tight, but we could survive on that.
Right. You know, one thing I will share with you. Now, we live in an area where the taxes are low. You know, the property taxes are pretty low, but I can live in this bigger house on an acre and a third, which I just love here. I can live here for even less than it costs for just the monthly expenses of being in our little tiny house. If I pay for the insurance and the taxes and my trash service, you know, just getting my trash picked up, as long as I'm setting aside, it's actually less than $100 a month. I always just set aside $100 and keep that available and set aside. If we had to, we can live in this house for barely $100 a month. And that's just because you have to pay your taxes and you have to keep insured and all that kind of stuff.
And then we have the wood stove for heat.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. So.
And the garden, and I just, you know, getting yourself set up so that you know you can live on as little as possible, it is a tremendous sense of freedom. I'm going to encourage everybody.
Live simple, live free. Do you know how freeing it is to be able to just save for a couple of months for the money that you need to build an addition, or save for a few months to upgrade your car, or to make a trip, you know, an extended RV trip, or to be able to have the money to give to someone in need? That is really incredible.
Oh,
you know,
yes. Oh.
Some extra thing comes up at church, or you find out someone who really needs help, and you just write them a check because you've been saving it. The freedom is just...
It's wonderful.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Well, freeing.
And I tell you what, we have found this to be so true, no matter what our circumstances have been, that we cannot outgive God.
Right.
It is such a joy to be able to give. And we're not saying that to brag. That is not our heart at all. It is an incredible joy to feel like that we have something available to be able to you know, give if somebody, you know, it's just You can't outgive God.
Well, I hope that has answered your questions about this. I know many people have had that question, and so we took Reba's question as a
Kind of our sample question.
yeah, to say we really need to address this because a lot of people are asking. So I hope you find that helpful. I hope you find that encouraging, that you can get out of debt. Go look at my debt seminar to figure out how. And live free. Live free. I'm free.
Yeah, we have, it's kind of exciting. We have a very precious member of our family. It looks like that he's getting a job in Germany. And I'm determined to just start socking money aside and just keep saving and saving and saving, because we are determined to go over there to see them. And we used to live in Germany, and it would be so incredible to go back. But that would not be possible if I didn't have money I could be saving toward that.
Wir haben in Deutschland für 3 Jahre gewohnt. We lived in Germany for 3 years, and we loved it. But we left there in 1982.
82, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 83.
So we'd love to go back, but the expense is just, a lot.
Yeah.
And so now if we have a family member to going over there and living there for his job, all we need to do is save the money for the airfare round trip, and we're good to go. So.
And goodness, by the time we get it saved, I'm trusting that it's going to be okay to travel again.
Right.
It'll take us a long time to save that,
Right.
but I'm excited that it's possible.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to ramble at this
Yeah,
point.
we're just sort of running down rabbit trails. So yeah, I'm the worst rabbit trail runner.
Yeah. Walk into this. So thanks for watching.
We're glad you're enjoying coming along on this building project. He's good. He does a good job.
Oh yeah. I guess I'm not done yet.
He's not done yet.
A lot of people through the years have said something to Elizabeth about how nice it is to be married to a handyman when you see me do some little project. But a lot of people now are realizing I'm not just a handyman. I was a contractor for 30 years, and so
he had his own company.
This is what I used to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying, Bill, you're so patient. Well, that's just part of the job. That's just part of what contracting is all about. So.
Yeah. When I made the statement that everything always ends up taking more time and costing more than you think, that's from experience of building and building for many, many years.
Right.
And you just factor that in.
And right now the heat is brutal, and I have to take off a good part of the afternoon because it's just simply too hot. So it's taken longer than I expected because of that.
We're living like the wise people that live in hot climates that have siesta time. He gets up early and works, and then he works as soon as the sun's out of the way.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the day, of course, under the tree right here is actually pretty pleasant.
Right.
So
shall I try it again? Thanks for watching.
Live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
Yeah. All right, we love you guys. We'll be seeing you soon.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.